We had similar approaches, I think, to what we saw for the land, for how we want an orchard, really minimal intervention, growing standard trees as opposed to the dwarfing trees, an interest in sort of heritage apples and all that sort of thing. So we had a lot of commonality, I think, in our approaches. So that's sort of how we sort of ramped up to a more official relationship.
Hello, my name is Ria Wincaller, and I am the producer and cider MC of this weekly podcast, where we speak with makers, cider enthusiasts, and folks within the cider trade from around the world.
Hip, hip, hooray!
Bringing us into episode 467 of Cider Chat was Dan Gallagher. He was talking about the collaboration that has now come together between he and Joel Howie. Joel founded Canton Apples and Cider, LLC, and Dan, he has another kind of full-time job as a college professor, but he's a really passionate cider maker. He started out as an amateur cider maker and has now, in concert with Joel, has gone commercial, and they have a series called Frosty Twig, and I'm sure if you're following any of the cider social media, you'd have seen Frosty Twig out there. And yes, as you might expect, they're really wowing it. They certainly wowed me with their product. And they're going to be our featured guest on this week's episode. So you're in for a treat. This is part of the series that I've been rolling out now this summer of season 10. A little cider tour, a cider road trip that I took up through Vermont and into New York State. And I'm based in Massachusetts, so it's really a lot of fun for me to kind of swing up, straight up on Interstate 91, those who know, that kind of like main artery going straight up from Connecticut all the way up through Massachusetts, at least the Western Mass section, and then bop in between, well, it's on Vermont, and Vermont borders right there with New Hampshire. And if you go back a couple episodes, you would have heard my first talk or meetup was with a guy from the Czech Republic, and his name is Dan, and we talked about what was happening there, so you could check out that episode. And then I went to 1000 Stone Farm, talked with Kyle Duda. He and his wife, Betsy Simpson, have what is called the Farmer's Hand Cider House and Kitchen, and that absolutely wowed me. There's a extra special bonus episode at the Cider Chat Patreon page where Kyle and I were in the barrel room tasting through an assortment of different wonderful experiences in the barrel, doing a bit of troubleshooting. So if you're into barrel aging cider, you definitely want to check that out. Go to the Cider Chat Patreon, become a member. That's a good way to do it. And then I headed up from there along Lake Champlain and then bopped into New York State right below the border of Canada and the U.S. It was pretty quiet up there when I was up there. Headed down to Potsdam and recorded with Connor and Alyssa Hardiman of St. Lawrence Nursery, which is a nursery that really features cold, hardy trees. And that was really fun catching up with them, seeing what they're doing. I know they're really right now in the middle of a mega production at the barn where they're building a second story deck to up level the whole event scene that they're going to be offering there. So that was the last episode. That would have been episode 466. And then that same day I headed over to Canton, which is only like a 20-minute drive maybe, and had a sit-down conversation, which you're going to be able to hear shortly, with both Joel and Dan. And it was really informative because a lot of times when you see a brand shift, I mean, Canton Apples was kind of moving along. They have what are called apple chips, where they dry apples, they're really sliced up, and they sell that in bags, and they have a number of different value-added products. But it was always in the back of Joel's mind to have cider. And Dan is an excellent cider maker. I mean, one of his ciders that you're going to hear us talking about is called the turkey tree. And it is actually a tree where turkeys go and roost. It floored me. You're going to hear me talking about it, but it really floored me. And I'm thinking, boy, that that the droppings that come from the turkeys down into the soil must be doing something there. I'm really curious. He grafted, I guess, quite a bit of new trees from that one turkey tree. And I'm really curious to see if we get the same kind of flavor profiles that we have out of that cider. So it's a single varietal cider from one single tree. I have some at home here, and I'm waiting to crack it open to celebrate the night that this goes live. So, yeah, really cool stuff that they're doing there. And that's what we're going to be talking about, how two partners come in and fuse into one business. So they have the Canton Apple, like the dry cider, and that's one kind of label. And then you'll see the Frosty Twig series, which is more like small batch and really, a different kind of profile on the everyday Canton Apple dry cider that's offered too. So that's pretty interesting to me to always see that fusion of businesses, and I hope you get a little bit of some tidbits out of there if you're looking at the same thing, you're just wondering how that happens, and also to be really jazzed up about visiting north of upstate New York, because it is spectacular. You feel like you're going back into a time bubble a little bit. There's a lot of farmland, just open spaces, railroad tracks. We're talking about all this too, and of course, because St. Lawrence Nursery is located up there, you have all these orchards that were planted, or maybe I should say informed by or in concert with Bill McKentley, who is a rock star in his own right. He was the second person after Fred to take on St. Lawrence Nursery, and he really just seeded the whole area. He's like the Johnny Appleseed of that region. So there's a lot of apple trees that are really unique and orchards that have been affected by Bill McKentley. So check out last week's episode. And I also have an earlier talk with Bill, too, from New York Apple Camp in 2023, I think it was. And then the other piece to know, and I don't think I've had this recorded on any of the episodes that I did on the cider tour, but in Potsdam proper, which is a nice kind of like small Main Street America kind of town, there's all these pear trees. And they're pear trees. And they're at the point now where they are really producing, as I understand. And in some ways, this could happen, especially if you're in the know around orchards and any kind of like nuts or something. I have a giant oak tree at my house, and it becomes kind of a burden having all the droppings there every year, because stepping on acorns hurts and makes you stumble. Well, now at Potsdam, they're kind of getting a lot of pears like dropping too. So I hope it doesn't become a nuisance. And I think for anybody who's kind of enterprising, you should definitely contact the folks up at like St. Lawrence Nursery and see if like something can be done there to kind of go do a picking. Because can you imagine pear trees, like big old pear trees now producing in the middle of this New York town up in north of upstate? Yeah, that just makes me want to get in my car and drive up there in September to check it out. Because, truthfully, all you need is like a little tiny box of pears to make a small 5-gallon batch, and it will really impact that cider if you do like a pear cider piece. You could obviously get enough to get pears there too. So that was like, oh my goodness, what a prize that is. And this is this community here that's really come together with all these different apple cider nursery focus folks. They have a nice community. In fact, the next episode coming up after this one will be with Pierpont Cider, and that's with Lee, who is the cider maker there. He's also in cahoots with all these folks, all in the best way possible. So there's a lot going on there. That's what we're going to be looking forward to. Before we get to that future conversation, I have a wee bit of news from Out and About in Ciderville. Cider Chat, in case you don't know, also offers Totally Cider tours, and these take place internationally and nationally. And in just a short amount of time here, I am actually packing my bags now. I'm going to be landing in the United Kingdom, heading out to the West Country, just really beelining out to the West Country and making some stops as I'm preparing for my guest on this tour to come in from all different parts of the world. Very excited to raise a glass with everyone there. And it is, what a lineup. I've been having so much fun setting up the tour and reconnecting with people as we're going forward. There's some really amazing stuff that we have in the lineup here. A big one that I'm excited for, besides everything else, it's like going to the Showering Cider Mill and Whirlies and Wilding Cider, is heading to the National Perry Pear Center. And Phil Kester, who is under the brand 99 Pines Perry, he's one of the volunteers that works at the center, and he's opening it up just for us. So we're going to have lunch there at the Perry Pear Center, have a little tour with Phil, and drink some amazing perry, because the UK has it going on, and it's so unique to that landscape. So we'll be there, and then that night we're going to have a special cider dinner with James Forbes of Little Pomona, tasting through that, kind of pairing that with a nice meal. I think we have some like minted lamb. That should be quite nice with cider. And we also have a special guest that evening. Actually, the folks on the tour don't even know this, so hey, if you're listening, guess what? The CEO of the Malvern Hills Trust, her name is Deborah Fox, is going to be attending that dinner with us too. And that's because the hotel is located on this like mountain ridge of the Malvern Hills Trust, which is this incredible landscape. And one of the reasons why I'm going there is so we could be at the hotel, have the dinner with James, but also have a little time to go hike up to the peak of this ridge walk and get this like 360 view. Oh, and of course, Deborah, she is like the historian plus extra. She's really an invaluable resource. So I'm super stoked to have her as an additional special guest at that cider dinner. That's just a tidbit of what happens on Totally Cider Tours. And this UK tour is like none other before. So if you're interested in going on a cider tour, and I have some in the plans for 2026, send an email today to info@ciderchat.com. Put in the heading Cider Tours. Let us know how many you expect to be in your tour, and we'll get you on the to-know wait list, which means that you get early dibs on reservations for these tours that sell out quite quickly. And what can I say? Oh, I love it so much. It's just this pinch me moment every time I'm on a cider tour and I'm rolling along with these fun-loving people. And okay, enough. I don't want to give you too much FOMO. I know it sucks that you couldn't get on it, but planning for 2026. So info@ciderchat.com. Send an email today. It's time now for our featured presentation. We're going to be heading to Canton, New York, making this a very good time to grab a glass and join this chat with Joel Howie and Dan Gallagher of Canton Apples, based in Canton, New York. Joel, welcome to Cider Chat. It's really nice to meet you for the first time ever. Coming to your beautiful cidery here, right? The juicing scene, the heartbeat of Canton Apples.
Thank you for stopping by.
And Dan, we meet again.
Yes, indeed.
Super exciting hearing the story about Frosty Twig and Canton Apples, bringing it all together. So let's get into it. What's the situation here in terms of meshing a little bit of businesses together? And I'm not really sure what that means. So let's talk about what does that mean?
Sure. I feel like we are neighbors. We only live maybe a mile and a half away from each other. So we were kind of aware of each other tangentially for a few years and bumped into each other and started exchanging ideas and talking about possibly sort of a joint venture might look like. At the time, Joel, you were really focused on pressing the fresh pressed sweet cider. I'm doing the farmers markets, doing apple chips and selling apples. And I had been fermenting. I know you had been toying around with making some hard cider as well. I was definitely interested in getting out of my basement and in, sort of my backstory as being like a hobby that had sort of outgrown itself a little bit. And I was looking for a next step. And Joel had just built this facility. And so in a lot of ways, I feel like it just kind of made sense to team up and try and bring our teamwork together.
And is that how you saw it, Joel?
I did. So my business plan is to stack enterprises within the business itself to help it grow in many different aspects of agriculture. And when Dan introduced himself while we were building the building and told me he was interested in hard cider. We hit it off immediately, and I knew I wanted to go in the hard cider direction, including with all of the regen agriculture activities that we have here, the value added products we make in our commercial kitchen. We also rent some space to another growing tea company. So when Dan came to me and introduced himself, I got really excited because this is like, somebody local who has the same interests that I have. And he also had apples that were really cool to try. And so we just started putting some plans together. And since I was already an established business, I started the administrative end of getting our licensing to make alcohol. So I got that, and that was a long process, but we're all up and running now, and Dan brings his expertise to the business and in fermentation, and we're still young and we're still growing, we're still changing, and I think that we have a pretty good future together.
Now, Canton Apples has been around for a while.
I established the business in 2011, and it all started as a weekend activity for me to spend time with my son outdoors, because my full-time job is I own my own real estate appraisal business. So I wanted to get outdoors more, and my son was 4 at the time. So we found a small orchard on the other side of town and started taking care of it and opened for U-Pick. And we just learned that there was pretty decent demand locally for that type of activity. And it just kept growing from there. And then I acquired a few more orchards around town and started rehabbing old farm orchards.
Self-taught.
I went to school for horticulture right out of high school, so I have the background. My family's been in farming, so I'm used to being outdoors and working outdoors. Another friend of mine started a winery in a town near here, and he wanted to use apple juice as the base for all his wines. So he came to me, and that's how I got into fresh press cider, because we supply the winery with juice for his wines, and also we sell fresh press cider through our farm stand and to some other wholesalers. And it just has grown from there, and then we met Dan.
That's a nice meshing. Is that how you relate to it?
I think so, yeah. And I think we even spent the first few months, this wasn't last year, it would have been the year before, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
As they started to work, I was like, well, we'll sort of just dip our toe into this relationship a little bit, feel each other out, and come join the team. Joel's got a really great team of people here that work for him, that do some of the picking and help him with the pressing and all that sort of thing. So I was like, well, let me jump in with the team and just sort of get a vibe for what working over here might look like. And I think we both found that we had similar approaches, I think, to what we saw for the land, for how we want to orchard, really minimal intervention, growing standard trees as opposed to the dwarfing trees, an interest in sort of heritage apples and all that sort of thing. So we had a lot of commonality, I think, in our approaches. So that's sort of how we sort of ramped up to a more official relationship.
And how about your affection to cider? And I'm going to differentiate that between cider and sweet cider, which isn't unfermented. Had you had much experience, not making it, but in trying different products in that way?
I didn't have much experience in what you would call a craft cider or specialty ciders. I always had the woodchuck or the basic Angry Orchard that everybody knows, or something that, commercially made. I only dabbled in what I made in my garage and what a friend of mine.
Oh, so you have made it in your garage?
Oh yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
just in 5-gallon glass carboys. If you have some juice left over, you pitch some yeast and see what happens.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine in the Syracuse region, also we would collaborate. Just talk back and forth, because he would make some in his basement, and I would say, "Hey Nate, what yeast did you pitch this year or whatever?" So we would just kind of throw ideas back and forth, and he started making some good stuff. I had some good stuff, and then Dan came along.
Right.
So we're like, okay.
Yeah, and I know Dan, I met you the first time at New York Apple Camp 2 years ago, and obviously you were like deep in the weeds at that point, right? Seriously, I mean you were, and trying a lot of different ciders too. Is there any backstory that we kind of bring folks up to date on that, on how you came to cider?
I think I mentioned this last time I was on. I think my history goes long back towards apples more than cider specifically.
Right.
And working in high school in orchards, and it moved on in other areas of my life and in profession. And when I moved back to Canton here, the property that I bought had a lot of apple trees on it, and I was just sort of like not really sure what to do with all these, and decided to just start experimenting. But prior to that, most of my experience with cider was, as Joel mentioned, a lot of the commercial, popular varieties you might find at the grocery store.
Right. This is a really common story that we see all over the map. There's like this one little spark that gets people going. And with cider, I think it's kind of a cool endeavor because it's new, it's fresh, pun intended. And also the community surrounding it. Obviously, that's what, the proximity and whatnot. So you are going into this endeavor as a new collaboration. I'm wondering, are there any challenges or any tips for other people who are looking at doing a type of partnership with somebody? And are you still doing real estate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're still teaching?
Yeah.
It's high school level?
No, college.
College, right.
Yeah.
So you're still doing another job.
Yeah.
So what are some of the tips other than patience?
I would say definitely look around in your environment and in your community and see what resources you have available to you, whether that be people, whether that be, as you've probably seen driving around, lots and lots and lots of wild apples everywhere. So I think that would be my biggest tip, is see what you have available, see what other people are interested in. As you know, the community, the cider community is a rising tide, right? And we want to share and help each other out and loan equipment and loan knowledge or share things. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing, is just whether there are trees available, whether there is a commercial orchard who might have juice available that they're pressing. Or as Joel mentioned, there might be a winery, there might be a brewery, there might be kombucha makers or other fermenters or garden clubs or your extension office. I mean, these are all great resources. Yeah.
One thing that I've noticed in this region, especially St. Lawrence County area, is that most of the farms are dairy farms, if you've noticed that driving across the countryside.
Yes, yeah.
And all of a sudden you build a building like this and you plant apple trees and people are like, oh, I didn't know you could grow apples here, or you could grow pears here.
Oh,
so we still have a lot of local sources to tap into as far as our customer base here. Apples do grow very well here, depending on the varieties. And I think also making a product to introduce to the local people will also help create a solid base for anybody's business if they can get the local support and then grow from that. And that's how we started with everything that we're doing. So now we can distribute to Malone or Tupper Lake or Watertown or Clayton with a strong base of local customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just mention what zone you are in for growing here.
We're zone 4.
Zone 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not far from 3.
Not far from 3.
Not far up the hill.
Yeah, exactly. And we have St. Lawrence Nursery very close to here, who's all about cold hardy. So there's a reason you can have your finger on the pulse, so to speak. Yep. And you're right. This is a big farming community. You look on the map and you're searching for cider. Like, you're it up here.
As far as licensed cideries,
as far as a licensed cidery,
there are 3 that I know of north of the Thruway on the western side of the Adirondacks.
Right.
That is
far and few between.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of land. It's a 2.5 hour drive for us to get to Syracuse, New York. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of land in between here and there.
Sure is. And while I'm driving through and I'm seeing so many solar panels going up in fields, which means that's a decline in the other product that they had, which was probably cattle or milk, Mm-hmm. So it's nice to see that the apples are happening in that way. Is there a cider clubs or anything like that locally?
Locally, I think we have a group of people.
Unofficial.
But we're not real
club.
Organized.
Okay. Right.
St. Lawrence Nurseries.
We're all going to be meeting tonight, right?
Yes.
Drinking cider.
Yes. I think the only one that is not here is Damon. He's Bone and Bottles Review. and he's actually at Blink Cap. He's judging this year. So
Is he pretty close by?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
my.
about 30 minutes from here.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Well, we hope he's having fun out in Michigan.
And he was bummed when I told him.
I had no idea that he was this far north.
But I feel like we definitely get together a few times a year for sure. Even if it's just like something we're going to do tonight, we try and usually do something, I think, around blossom time, around picking time. And we definitely meet to help each other out and that sort of thing as well. So
yeah. And you have a large Amish community around here too. I'm wondering, in that community, are you connected at all, knowing what they're doing, like growing apples, or it's probably all culinary apples?
Yes, they're not growing too many apples. They grow more vegetable type foods. I haven't seen too many Amish orchardists.
They do forage a fair amount, and I do know that they make a lot of apple cider vinegar.
Apple cider vinegar, right? But not necessarily fermenting it to drink. I don't know what their script is on that. Mm-hmm. Now, where is the business at this point, and what is the actual product called? Is it Frosty Twig? Is it Canton? I need to wrap my head around that.
So the way that the label reads, Canton Apple and Cider LLC is the manufacturer of the beverage, and Frosty Twig is our brand name that goes along. So it's Canton Apples, Frosty Twig Cider.
Canton Apples, Frosty Twig. Is that all on the label? Because that's a lot to put on there.
Yep. So basically, we have the Canton Apples logo on the top, and then Frosty Twig, whatever the flavor is for whatever we're releasing at the time. That's how we're handling it.
How you're handling it. Okay. Yeah, because labeling's a really touchy area for so many reasons. What's cool about it, though, is one is you have your terroir kind of name there, so you have a place, Canton, right, where we are right now, and then this more fun and kind of Frosty Twig. What's that about? You know, so it's a nice play.
Because we wanted to really separate the line. Not that it's a separate line, but we have so many other items for sale by Canton Apples, like applesauce and apple chips and cranberry sauce, blueberry syrup, and we have a continuing line that's being developed by Canton Apples, and Frosty Twig is just another line.
A line to that, another part of the brand. I got it. Okay.
And so, going forward as well, we'll have sort of two lines that are under that umbrella of the cider.
What do you mean two lines? Like two ciders?
We'll have like our Canton Apples line and the Frosty Twig line. Now
I'm a little confused.
So the Frosty Twig line is more of the specialty, like we made some blueberry hard cider or cranberry, or if we have one that's called Turkey Tree, which is a single varietal ferment. Those specialty small batch
will be under Frosty
Twig.
Okay.
The regular everyday
kickback
hard cider that you can get everywhere any day of the week will be that'll be the Canton Apple.
Okay, that makes sense.
So we have sort of like what I'm thinking of is like your sort of entry level, more approachable, less complex as our Canton Apples ciders. Those might be more in smaller containers. It might be in a keg or looking into canning and bottling in smaller 6-packs or things like that. And then the Frosty Twig will be again sort of the more advanced level, maybe more tannins, some of the smaller batches,
that's a good way.
and things that we might not have. So as Joel mentioned with the Turkey Tree, we won't have that this year. We sold out, and then we won't have it in 2025. We might come back in 2026.
And was that under Frosty Twig?
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like the Canton Apple could be, I caution myself to say this, the Canton Apple is not necessarily a modern style, like, quick turnover, or is it?
We're not doing anything quick turnover.
Okay, good to know. And is it all for sale now?
If we have it available, yes.
If you have it available. So you first started selling last year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Last when?
The licensing was approved. The temporary license was approved in October. We've already gone through one extension, and I just filed the last bit of information for the permanent license today. So hopefully really soon we get our permanent license, but we're still operating on a temporary. But Yeah.
No, okay, yeah, you're going to be moving through that.
Absolutely. It's just
Yeah.
the wave you have to follow through.
Right, the gate is open.
It is.
And
it
you're
is.
just kind of like have a little
just
couple
have
things to
a lot
walk
of things
through.
here and there to
Yeah.
submit and to
But
fix.
it's totally online, and so up to this
Yep.
point, you have canned or bottled.
Bottled.
Yep.
Bottled. Okay. What size format moving forward will you be looking at?
I think we're looking at possibly the 12-ounce bottles and the 500 ml bottles, maybe for the Canton Apples things, maybe some 500s and 750 ml for the
Frosty Twig. Okay. All crown cap?
Yeah.
All crown cap. So forced carbonation?
We have done some stuff in the kegs that way, but everything else we're doing bottle condition.
Okay. So are you going for like a pet knot?
Yeah.
Okay. And is this where all the juice is stored, or is there anything going on in your home front?
Other than
Talking
a
about
few
the
small
dam.
trials,
Okay.
some secret batches for myself. Otherwise, everything is over here.
Yeah, this is the licensed facility, so
Okay, so-
everything is here.
Was this facility built specifically for the cider operation, or were you using this for something else?
This was specifically built for the apple and cider business.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're in this room. The dimensions are
The building is 32 by 44
32 by 40.
outside dimensions,
Okay.
and we have one walk-in cooler that is 8 by 12. We have 2 bathrooms, and we have another 8 by 12 room that's being rented to the tea ladies. We call them the tea ladies.
Oh, okay.
But when they're all done, we can convert that into another walk-in cooler. And the building's also designed in a way so that we can add on to either end. So the ultimate is to be modular, to keep leaving our path open so we can add. Who knows what the next addition will be? Today when I built the building, I thought it was going to be another 32 feet, but Dan and I were talking today. It's got to be bigger,
Right.
So,
Always
but
build bigger.
yeah.
Yeah.
and then on the other side of the building, I always wanted to build a tap room that overlooks the orchard and the
And you have
open
2
field.
bathrooms, so that kind of
That's
fits
that's
it in.
why I designed it that way. So
Very
we
smart.
drilled the well deep enough, and the septic system is over designed to accommodate that also.
Yeah, smart guy. Okay, good. Now I'm seeing IBC tanks here. That's primarily what you're using for your ferments and storage and conditioning. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And all bottles, this is hand bottling. So you're really kind of doing the work. Are you looking at doing accounts too, like cake accounts at all?
We have a couple restaurants and liquor shops that are carrying our lines.
Yeah. So the Canton Apples line, these are all customers that I've had for years, so I can just piggyback. We have hard cider now, so now we can just keep adding our product offerings to my existing customers.
Wow.
Which, for Dan, for you just to come in and start fresh, that's a lot of work to
Yeah.
get your foot in the door
Sure is.
to a lot of places, and I've already done that. So
Right.
we're already there, so we can get feet on the ground running, and just people are excited when I tell them, "Hey, got the license. When do you want cider?" And they're like, "Get it here yesterday."
Wow.
So-
So not a lot of explaining your education on
No,
that.
no.
Not necessary.
No,
Your customers are local by and large, right?
for right now, yep.
Right
Yep.
now. So what do you mean by that?
Well, I would like to, along with my other offerings in this business, is to expand to the next ring outside of Canton, Potsdam region, or St. Lawrence County. Like maybe get more into the Adirondacks, say Saranac Lake, swing around, touch Plattsburgh region. And then on the other side, go toward Clayton, Cape Vincent. We do have some products in a small store right now in Clayton. But there are a lot of restaurants there that I think that if we had a good product in a keg, that I could probably make the sale and
Yeah.
get those people on board.
Because it's kind of a desert in that way.
Yeah.
For any
Yeah.
cider up here that is locally produced. New York
That's-
State
that's right.
apples, the terroir, and
Yeah.
the yeast. But I want to talk about the yeast in just a moment.
We do sell kegs to a local brewery in Tupper Lake also.
Okay.
So they offer that as a gluten-free option, or just something different from their beer offerings also.
Have you done any events here at this point, or it's just too new, right? Really?
Very small events.
Very small, okay.
Yeah, when we first got the license and had some product available, we did offer some tastings, and we had a dozen or maybe 20 people roll through.
It's nice
for
to
a couple
kind of
hours
pick away at that.
and you grow slowly, grow thoughtfully. That's a good way to do it.
And then we sell stuff at both the Canton and Potsdam's farmers markets.
Yep.
And I'm sure you heard from St. Lawrence Nurseries, they're having a whole series of events all summer long. So we'll definitely be at a number of those as well.
Yeah. I love the community feeling here and the history of apples in this area. It's really exciting. Now, quantity, what are we looking at for quantity for the 2024 vintage going into 25?
I think we're right around 2,000 gallons from last year or so.
And are these apples extra apples that Canton Apples is growing because you have other products?
We use every single apple we grow, and it's usually gone by the 1st of October. So we end up having to buy apples from other regions. So I primarily buy from the Plattsburgh region once we run out of our own apples. But we do have several batches that are specifically our own Canton grown apples. But, with our orchard still grow, I'm hoping to not have to rely on that. I want to really not do that.
You're definitely forward thinking. So that's great. So 2,000 gallons in the bottle. Let's talk about the styles. And I want to differentiate a little bit because the Canton ciders would be kind of like, it's kind of like the original, like not a lot of tannin, right? So it's a very bright cider, maybe acid forward, ABV of, what are we looking at?
6.5.
Six and a half.
to 7.
Okay, nice, great one to have with the barbecue when you're like cooking the barbecue. With the barbecue.
We call it a boat drink.
Oh, boat
Right?
drink.
That would be
Yeah.
good for a boat drink.
Or go down the rafting or something like that. Yeah. Although you should boat responsibly
Absolutely.
as a big boater. And the Frosty Twig. So let's get into the cider making style. You're doing pet nats, but what are you doing in the process from picking the apples to press? Any in between going on there? Any sweating? Any type of, mini steps in between there?
Dan, you made a cider.
Yeah, we did do a cider can last year, actually. We were sweating a number of stuff. I think it depends on the variety. I know with some of the russets, we had some golden russet that we let sit for a couple months at least. We picked those and then let those sit in the walk-in for quite a while while we worked on the fresh pressed cider, and then came back to it, and I think it was almost late December.
Wow, okay. And then what? What do we do from there? You put it through a kind of press. I don't see the press. Oh, there it is right there.
It's a homemade press.
Homemade press.
I designed and had a local fabricator build it for me.
So it looks like a rack and cloth
Rack
press.
and cloth, yep.
All metal though.
Yeah.
All stainless steel.
All stainless steel. Oh, it's a long table.
That
Okay.
there, so you can build one stack
Okay.
and then slide it and press, and then you can keep building while that is
Fantastic.
pressing. And then it slides to the other end for dismantling, and you can keep pressing. The way it's designed is if 3 or 4 people operate it, you can press a lot of apples in a day.
See, you've got your grinder over there, a little stainless.
Yep.
Am I correct in that?
Yep.
Okay. Not a big grinder,
Nope.
so you're hand feeding
It's
all
just
those
a
apples,
Basic grinder from Owesco.
which is located in my special spot of
That's right.
Ciderville.
It's not far.
Yeah. This is a nice place to start, and I could see the potential to grow. So maybe next time I'm here, there'll be a little bit different belt press or something like that. Who knows? And then what about the yeast? What are we doing with yeast?
I think we did around a third of our batches were a wild ferment, so no pitched yeast at all. And then the other 2/3, I think we trialed probably 2 or 3 different wine yeasts.
Was that under the Canton apple, the wild, or is the Canton more of a cultured yeast?
We use a cultured yeast
For the
mostly
Canton, yeah, that makes sense.
So we can consistently.
Yeah. So that's what you're looking for in that brand. That would make sense to have a very consistent product.
That's, like I
people
said,
can
that's the
rely on.
everyday, that's the always
Yeah.
available,
Yeah.
product line, and it's consistent every single time, just to capture those cider drinkers that might not want the earthy tones of Dan's pear cider or something like that. So,
Yeah, that really complex. Yeah, complex in a different way.
And I do think that to a certain degree, when we look at New York State, we're not in the Hudson Valley, and we're not in, Finger Lakes area where we have, maybe, I mean, we do have knowledgeable, customer base, but they're not, again, they're probably coming from a more commercial end of their drinking. They might not be as experienced or know what a dry cider is or what wild ferment is. So
not yet, they don't.
We're definitely
we're
having to do some of that educating as we go along.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why it does make sense, and we do want the two lines, and we do want a wide variety of offerings that we might have available. Because like we probably all mentioned, right, none of us started there. We all started with something else and found our way there. So we want to be able to capture those customers as well.
And the yeast that you're doing with Canton Apples, feel free, you could talk about that?
Sure. We're doing like the 71B, D47, and then the 1118.
Okay.
A lot of very common.
Yeah, very, very
wine.
common. I was just talking to a maker using that same thing. So, somewhere on this trip. What day of the week it is? I have no idea. Okay, so that's fun. So you're doing those different cultures, then you're doing the wild ferment, and with the wild, it's all in the IBC things.
We have, we'll show you in a minute, we have a lot of smaller speedle fermenters as well.
Oh, okay.
That are more like a 30 gallon, 15 gallon. So those
okay.
are also in smaller batches. And we are pulling from some of the, more eating apple type things, but I would say more wild foraged apples, and then also experimenting with other wild foraged fruits, which is nice because we have the farm winery license, not the farm cidery license. And so that allows us to go higher ABV, but it also allows us to use things not just palm fruits, not just apples, not just pears, but things like aronia and elderberry and blueberry, cranberry, other things that we have locally.
New York State
fruit cider.
New York State products. That's so we have to use New York State grown inputs, which is easy to do around here.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, the abundance
It's
is
not
just...
a problem.
The cultured yeast and the wild yeast, sometimes they could kind of overlap a little bit. So what's been your experience there?
I think that, and we've also experimented with starting wild and then pitching a cultured yeast after a few weeks as well. From reading around and researching, I think that they also tend to have different lifespans. It's my understanding that some of those wild yeasts are very, very active very early in fermentation and then die off, and then the cultured yeasts kind of come in and can take over and can be kill yeast, right? They can take out other yeasts in the process. So I think we're looking at some of that as well. But as you know, once they're out, they're all sort of everywhere. But I think we're not so sanctimonious that we're not thinking that those yeast cultures are getting sort of all over the place.
Yeah.
And I know that we're so worried about it.
Yeah.
If wild yeasts get into one of our other batches,
the
that's
cultured
part of
yeast would be the dominant
right.
yeast
And
there.
to a certain extent, as you mentioned before, from some of these cider houses in France or some of these places that have been around centuries, and this is a brand new building, so we want to do a little inoculation and just get some of those cultures in the cloth, in the room.
Yeah.
Cracks and crevices.
Yeah.
Just get it in there.
Yeah, and then you get your own house style.
Exactly.
As long as it's staying clean and sanitary and in the right direction, because a wild yeast could go off in its own direction for sure. Well, that's fun. I love how you guys are approaching it. It sounds like you've really kind of thought about everything. But when you started this, was there something you said, oh, I wish we thought about that at this stage? And you are early in the game. So that might be a question to bring up down the road.
I think you should ask us in a year or two.
Okay, all right. Well,
because right now we're still ironing some.
Yeah.
I mean, this really going into this year, this spring now, is going to be our really first full year, because last year we only had about a 40% crop of apples, so we didn't have a lot to work with of our own stuff for this.
Well, it looks like you have a lot here now.
And because a lot of this was purchased from other orchards.
Okay.
We did find an orchard in Wayne County that we bought a lot of cider apples from last fall, and you were able to supply us with quite a few from your own place. But
wow, your orchard must be pretty big, Dan. I didn't realize.
Old trees that produce a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, like he has one tree that I think there were 20 bushels of apples on it. Easily.
Wow.
But all wild.
Yeah, but there you have a lot of, I imagine, tannic structure.
Yeah, we're planting a lot of bittersweets. That's the one thing we're looking for, and I know that a lot of people in the Northeast are are doing, because the acids are not the problem around here, right? We have in our soil, we have the terroir, we have a lot of the acids, so the sharps and the bitter sharps and things. I don't think we're as interested in, because we have that already in spades.
So what are the varieties? Like if versus the Canton versus like the Frosty Twig that's more specialized, what would be the blend that you would maybe put on the label for that? Or you do already?
We don't put the apple varieties on the label because I grow, last I checked, I had 160 varieties in the orchards that I have, and Dan has probably 100.
Yeah, I think we're around 250 varieties.
Yeah, we're about 250 varieties between the two of us.
Wait a minute, man, you've been holding this back from me. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Wow.
So most of these old farm orchards that I've been rehabbing were planted by Bill McKentley from St. Lawrence Nurseries.
No kidding. Wow.
So there is a lot of old stuff out there that we're dealing with.
And do you actually know the names of the... So when you...
Fortunately, I've been provided some pretty good maps by owners. Some apples I still don't know. It's a wild guess.
Right. Well, there's always DNA testing now, but but if you have to, you have to.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter.
But for the most part, we don't. The only we talk about the apples from Plattsburgh region. Those are going to be most of the like Honeycrisp and McIntosh and Spartan and that's where that juice is coming from. But when we have our own apples, we will have 250 to choose from.
Well then, let's just sit on that dial for a while. What a beautiful future ahead.
And I'm sorry to jump on you.
No, please.
I think we were just talking this morning, and specifically about how do we scale up smartly? Where do we want to be next year? Where do we want to be 5 years from now? All those sorts of things. And in addition to those 250 varieties, we kind of roughly guessed that only 50% are producing. Right now, the other 50% are still too young to produce. So we have a lot that's going to come online here in the next years as well.
Okay, so something to look forward to, which is just kind of suppression that is just automatically there whether you want it or not. And there was a really difficult growing season last year, so that's what we're all coming off of. So far, how does 2025 look?
Excellent.
Yeah, we're all so happy.
There are a lot of flowers on the trees.
There are a lot of flowers on the trees.
Loaded this year.
I saw it was going up to like 79 today or something like that.
It was 85 yesterday when I looked at the thermometer.
And we're recording this in May of 2025, in the middle of May. So things are looking pretty good and a lot of abundance. Is there a particular dominant apple at all, or it's just a mix? I know you just told me there's like over 300 different varieties that you're working with, but do you see any kind of like dominant styles? And with all those different styles, then the critical issue becomes, well, what's the best blend?
Right.
Because that takes time to like learn actually what the blend is once it all starts coming in. So
it is, and it's going to take time for us to figure that out. Because like with my fresh press cider line, it took me quite a few years to figure out which apples I really wanted to use and which ones I didn't, or I want to put only 2 bushels of this one in and more of the others, because it does make a huge difference in the outcome. But I think the most dominant one that I think that are in the Canton Apples orchards are probably like a McIntosh style apple, and they're not like the Macs you buy from the grocery store either. They they're different. They're different color. They crunch different when you eat them. They're not the same. We made a single varietal out of McIntosh 2 years ago, right?
Yeah. Fantastic.
The other one I would mention is just any of the russets we're big fans of. Again, being sort of minimal intervention on the orchard end of things. We find that those grow really well here. Golden Russet, Roxbury Russet, and the Minnesota 1734, which is a University of Minnesota russet, very similar to Golden Russet. Are apples that grow really well here and don't need a lot of, they're sort of...
They're disease resistant, so that's very helpful.
Resistant to pests and
scab resistant, apple cedar rust. They grow super well. It takes a long time for them to mature. Probably a good 8 to 10 years by the time you plant a golden russet before you even see one apple.
Yeah.
But it's worth it because it will bear every year after that if it's managed properly.
Yeah, it sure will. Well, that's exciting. That's part of the fun, but it's also a little scary too as you're learning the blend, because some blends could go really well and others not so. But you're on the journey. You mentioned about time. So what is like the start point to the end point, like bottling? What are we looking at here? Because there's always a draw to like get it in the bottle because we need product that have it yesterday.
We're
right?
more patient than that because
You are? Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Probably because we both have full-time jobs.
Well,
So
that
it's
helps.
like, hey, we can't get to it this week. It's going to have to wait.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
But
I would say around 9-10 months is
9
what
10
we're
months,
looking.
okay.
Yeah. We're just about to really kick off bottling right now. So that would put us late May, early June. And we were, October, November.
So is this all going to be bottled? And how do you manage these different? I'm looking at the tanks right now over there. How are you managing that? Are you going in and putting a little like wine thief in or a cider thief and pulling it out and saying, another week or what?
I think a lot of it, as Joel mentioned, is probably with our jobs. I mean, being a professor, I'm on an academic calendar, which is good because I have all summer off, and so I just finished all the grading and graduation's next week, so I'm ready to race out the gate here.
Okay.
and I'm an appraiser, so everything is picking up, and so Dan can help out.
all dependent upon the economy, I suppose, and
Just
the
springtime.
seasons.
The spring rush
Yeah.
in real estate is
Yeah.
always pretty busy.
Very interesting. I'm still thinking about the fact that all those orchards were all connected to Bill, who was, in the stage of St. Lawrence Nurseries, so responsible for amazing orchards. Oh, that's just magnificent.
We need some cider here to drink, don't we, Dan?
Okay, let's taste a little bit of cider and talk about that.
Cheers.
To your success.
Thank you.
That is really golden amber. Nice little bubbles on the top there. Getting, I think, a little bit of New York terroir there on the nose, huh? Yeah, I can see this like a quaffable, fresh cider taste to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really easy drinking. But kind of ABV is kind of high for me. It's not my lawnmower level
Yeah,
here.
it's, what is it, 6.8, I think?
Yeah, 6.8, but that's just me because I'm a lightweight in that way. But yeah, really drinkable. I love the presentation in the bottle. This is like a
The
500. 500, that's what I meant. Yeah, 500.
Yep.
And I like the label. It feels like it would stand out on the shelf because it's really simple and feels kind of old-timey in a way, which I really dig. The Canton Apples, that's really lovely. Right in the middle it says New York State and made from NYS Apples, New York State in Canton, New York. It just is just popping out. This is like something that you would have expected to see this bottle. You're digging in your backyard, and all of a sudden comes this old bottle from Canton. I was like, damn, look at that cider bottle. I can't believe it. Are they still around? Yes. And it says dry, and it is dry. Yeah, you hit that really right on there. Now, these are the apples from 2023. 2023.
It was a good year. That was the year we broke ground to build this.
Yeah.
If I remember.
Rainy. It was a rainy year.
That 2023 was the year that I think was really tough for Finger Lakes and Hudson Valley because they got a late frost, but we were way behind them, so it didn't affect us at all. Nothing was open yet.
So when we broke ground the end of May, and it was super wet. It was like I could hardly get the equipment on site. And then after Memorial Day weekend, it dried up for a month. And we were able to set all the posts, get all the gravel in, and it dried right up. And then it turned to rain for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
It was a rainy.
It was a really rainy year.
Yeah.
And I think I'm drinking that rain a little bit,
Okay.
because it does impact the complexity of the apple. But I like what you did here because it's dry. I mean, if this is your standard everyday drinker, holy smokes, that is really great because you have like some tannin on the mouthfeel, a little bit on the nose, and the dryness, not cloyingly sweet. But I think because of that year, we're not seeing what we typically see.
A
little thinner, but you brought it out in another way. So you gave it some complexity on how you dried it out. So well done.
Thank you.
You got to be happy there.
Yeah.
And again, I love the presentation. The bottle is so damn cute. That would be a cool one to like give somebody a present because it's a unique style that you don't see too often.
My
It's
nephew,
more of like an ale style bottle.
It is, yeah.
yeah, Belgian ale bottle is what that is. And my nephew in New York City does all of our graphics for us, and he also does our value-added products for the Canton Apples products. And we've just been absolutely ecstatic with what he's come up with. We tell him what our concept, what we think that we want to see in the label, and he comes back usually very few alterations after he's done. But he's done a great job with keeping it simple. You know, and the Frosty Twig line is a little more flary, I guess, a little more involved because that's what it is. It is a little more involved.
But my goodness, for that everyday approachable cider style, it's not forceful up front, but the finish really follows through. It reminds me a little bit of the feeling of like a creme brulee, like that top, that you get that kind of...
I was going to say a little honey flavor almost.
Oh, interesting.
Sort of sugary. But it's not, there is really not a lot of sweetness to it, but you're getting a little bit of...
the apple shining through in that way, yeah. Pretty cool. I can't wait to see what you do with like the next variations, because that was a tough year, I remember, for 23 on the amount of rain. So again, well done.
One thing that it's also hard to teach our customers that every batch will taste different. And I think I've done a good job teaching our sweet cider customers that, because every time we make a batch, it's
They expect
different.
it, yeah.
So, but they've come to appreciate that it doesn't have to be the same every single time. So,
And other than blending, we're not really having any additions at the end to sort of help that
Adjust
out.
that.
We're not
no,
adjusting.
no acid,
Whatever we
no-
have available is what we have.
Yeah, that's great. Very impressive, guys.
What should we try next year?
Well, let's see. I'm thinking the turkey tree.
Yeah.
It looks like a little bit of an orange wine in that style, huh? So natural ferment, I'm going to guess, because of the color might be telling us that. And, I could get the nose, and I haven't even put it near my nose. It's elbow length, and it's popping out.
I love the smell of it.
Wow. Whoa, that's beautiful. It's a little like peach, but not peach.
I was thinking bananas almost.
Banana peach. Yeah, I kind of get that.
Or mango, maybe.
Mango.
That's more I was going to say mango.
Mango.
It's more
Totally.
mango, apricot.
Absolutely
Right?
mango.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
wouldn't.
It's one of those classics, though, where you would not want to eat the fruit. It's just not,
Oh, good. So you got to ferment it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God, that nose is incredible. That's the best mango nose I've ever had. Even off of some of the best mangoes I've eaten.
What about that mango cider from California? Didn't you do one in Southern California that was a mango?
I don't know, 500 episodes ago.
South cider, maybe? Or...
Dude, I don't know.
Think about it.
Yeah. Wow.
Cheers to this one, Dan. You did a great. I love this one.
Oh, wow. It's even like mango on the mouth.
Yeah.
And that's really nice when the nose follows through
Matches.
on the palate. What's the ABV? 6.5%. The turkey tree that is like a holy tree. That is outstanding.
We grafted a lot of them this year. But we don't have any for 2025, so
Okay.
it's loaded with blossoms right now. We're hoping for a good year, but we bought the last bottles back for ourselves to share some with you.
We sold what we had to the liquor store,
But nothing,
and Dan had to go buy it.
Are there any bottles over there now? Or
Couple.
A couple.
but there'll be none for 2025. 'cause
Wow.
We didn't get any crop last year.
How does this ferment go? Was it just kind of like press and wait?
It was slow. It was very slow, yeah.
That is outstanding.
I love
you.
this one.
That's like one of the best ciders I have tasted this year.
Wow.
Damn.
Means a lot.
That where have I been this year? I have to think about it, but I don't know. This week, I don't know. That is good. I mean, it's juicy. It's not overwhelming. It's not a tannenbaum at all. It's just really well balanced.
Not a lot of acid.
Not a lot of acid, but the complexity, and it just makes you like
So to a seasoned cider taster like yourself, that you appreciate this. So my neighbors across the street both work for me. They help me press and harvest, and they are not cider drinkers at all. And I could give them Angry Orchard. I could give them any sweet cider, and they just would not appreciate it. Well, I gave them a bottle of this to try, and they loved it. They will come back to this one every single time.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's almost a little bit like a cube cider, because you have that residual sweetness going on, and you have that fruitiness that's being pronounced like a mango style to it. So that's always like a winning factor for most ciders, and it gets people who aren't really cider aficionados at that point in their career.
I think you find that with some of the wild ferments as well. They don't really finish out all the way to dry.
Yeah, the yeast just gets tired, and then it's ready. Wow. Well, that is really speaking to you. If there's any like an omen like of what's to come.
Oh, God.
Good stuff.
Hot diggity Dan. Hot diggity Dan, baby.
Cut it off.
You should have like picked the ones that I should try. But I saw, okay, turkey tree. Let me go there.
Yeah.
Wow. Now that is in that's like a 500 mil too.
This is a different style.
They call this a
Totally different style.
celebration champagne bottle.
Yeah.
That's what Waterloo container calls it.
Mm-hmm. And it was just bottled and allowed to bottle condition.
Mm-hmm. Did
Perfect.
we back sweeten this? We didn't put it's a carbonated or anything.
No, because I think this would show if it was being back sweetened.
Yeah.
You didn't need to do anything there.
Right.
That's one of those moments where you know that the apple could take you on the most incredible journey. I've just gone around the world and back again. Excuse me, I'm going to leave now, guys. I'm going to go sit down. It was really nice talking to you. Let's stop here. Holy kazoo. That made my whole drive all the way out here worth it. Seriously.
So when did you... Thank you.
You get the handshake. You get the handshake. Do you know what that means?
Good job.
That's like, I'm going to shake your hand too for going on this.
Yeah.
But holy
Yeah.
mazoo.
This was Dan's creation for sure.
I don't know if, what would follow that right now. That's a problem.
That's a hard one. Wild berry probably.
We could
is
try
close.
wild berry.
Okay, well, let's
we
try
can put
it.
a
I'm
plug
not
in it,
pouring
too.
this out. And don't even look at my cup over here. What a pretty color. My goodness. So this one has a bit of reddish hue to it. More so than any of the other ones that we have here. If you look at
Definitely aronia or chokeberry.
Oh, okay.
And
There you go.
elderberry.
I love the smell of this one.
Wild berry cider is what we're tasting right now, 6.4%. And as Dan was saying, it has a mix of different berries in here, which gives it its color. Big mouth experience here. You could really taste the addition.
Has a lot going on.
Yeah, it has a lot going on of those other berries, which just gives it more of a structure, astringency to it. And yeah, to give a cider its just dues after drinking something that, you kind of fell in love with and you're going in the hammock with, you have to let it. I have to reset my palate. So let me reset my palate, because otherwise I can't really go there. Higher acid. And so was that your idea, to drop the acid by adding berries?
Looking at a thinner apple mix to begin with, I think my goal was to bring maybe some more tannins.
Which you did.
Blackberries and the aronia are very high in
Yeah,
tannins.
yeah.
And so until we get some of our bittersweets coming online, some of those higher tannin apples, it's like, what else do we have available that we could bring some of those notes in?
Yeah, this is a really exciting cider. The astringency and tannin is really nice, a nice marriage.
And I think our goal, obviously, being a local, is what do we have locally available to us, and not to do berries for berry's sake, right? I mean, we could go big berry and add a bunch of blackberry sweetened cider. We could go, strawberry or anything else. We can bring all that in and add those flavors in. It's not really what we're interested in doing, and try and see what do we already have around. Joel, we have a ton of blueberries coming in. We did a blueberry cider this year. It is interesting. I wouldn't say that blueberry isn't really, the fruitiness is coming through. I'm not getting the blueberry, like with anything like
Was that with the cultured yeast?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was also with single, just a Macintosh juice.
Yeah, and blueberries.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't any cider apples or anything. It was just a Macintosh press. We had a lot of Macintosh left at the end of 23.
Yep.
And we just did a single press just to do something with them because they were starting to soften.
I love Macintosh. I think it is a great cider apple.
And you know, the original Macintosh was discovered right across the St. Lawrence River from us.
In Canada.
Literally 17 miles from here.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't realize it was that as a crow flies. And Mac could have cinnamon notes to it too. So with blueberry, it's a really nice choice that way. Yeah. But this is great. I love that you call it wild berry cider, and you're educating people on other palm-related fruits, especially Arona berry. Most people don't know what that is at all, and it adds a really lovely color to it, a richness to it. Yeah, well done. 6.4%. From meeting you like 2 years ago in person and drinking your ciders, I can see how you have elevated since then. I'm tasting it. So keep it up.
Thank you.
Keep it up. You got to be feeling good about that. He just shrugs his shoulder.
Yeah,
He comes. That's good. Well, you know,
A lot of
that's
work,
the
a lot of
attitude
work
you
and
need.
passion, but it's
Yeah.
a lot of work and passion
Yeah.
still to go.
Yeah.
I think finding the zen in it, finding the patience, and we're not gonna have all the answers right away, right? You have to take what nature gives us, I think, as well, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's the year, whether it's the fruit, whether some of these things that we're grafting might not work. Some of them might do really well.
I'll tell you, a lot of people are going to start getting turkeys.
Yeah, because of the turkey tree. Yeah, more we sell.
I mean, if the birds are in the tree and they're dropping there on the roof, so there's something going on with that soil. Whoa. Let's try the pear cider, I think. We should go there. Unless that's like a peri pear.
No.
Okay. Okay. Ooh, very nice nose. Popping again. Sweet, that sorbitol coming out of the pears. Very pleasant. Very pleasant nose. Now, tell me, the product that we are drinking right now, the apples and the pears, any coming off of, from where?
All right here. All
right here, okay.
My orchard or Joel's.
I was wondering if it was your orchard.
Yeah.
I'm thinking your orchard has a certain terroir. It does.
It has a microclimate for sure.
I want to say,
Yeah.
I'm getting some of the same notes on the nose
No
as
kidding.
the turkey tree.
Yeah.
All of the pear trees that we grow in our orchards are from St. Lawrence Nurseries. We have, you don't know what some of your varieties are, right?
Yeah, I have got Seckel, Stacy,
I have Ober, Golden Spice,
Schmidt.
Beer Schmidt, and 3 or 4 more from Bill McKinley's. When Bill McKinley owned, I bought them from him.
Variety of, they have like 20, 30
I was
pear
just
trees.
standing in their
It's-
pear orchard. Yeah, that's really exciting for them. Lovely future there. All right, let's talk about what's going on in the glass here. Why don't you tell us, Stan, what's going on in the glass here?
I'm definitely getting residual sweetness.
And this has changed since the last time I tasted it. I feel that it's actually maturing and getting better.
It has some tannin. It has some drying. I'm definitely getting some of the similar honeyed notes
Yeah,
that we looked at before.
yeah, on the turkey. Yeah, that's what I'm getting in the nose, and then in the mouthfeel too. A little sour, so bringing on a different journey right there. This makes me think like I'd want to drink it a year from now. I think it would would meld more as it is aging in the bottle. I mean, it's drinkable right now.
It is.
It's drinkable right now, people. Let me say that.
It kind of makes me think, though, we one of the things we have talked about is, if we want to go down the barrel direction as well for
Yeah.
aging.
Yeah.
Because I think it can fit. I mean, as much as these are good, they're very cost effective. Fermenting in the plastic and the totes here. It doesn't allow for a lot of great aging possibilities.
I'd also be concerned about VA on this. That's the only problem. Like if you're saving it it's right on that edge where it still can hop over to.
Yeah, no, we had, I for the first time ever, I had a batch go that direction.
Yeah.
A pear batch.
It happens with pear.
It happens. And
it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And I asked Damon, I was like, you think there's any saving this one? Or he's like, we should just.
Yeah.
I've dumped only 5-gallon batches before.
Yeah.
From the garage batch.
I found, though, with the culinary pears, it is a fine line with the ratio of apple to pear.
What are you doing there?
It's about 25% pear is kind of the 20% pear, 25% pear. And once you get above that, it becomes trickier, I think.
And when you say something that's a pear cider, as a drinker, I'm looking for pear and cider in the glass, and not to be dominant more than one or the other. So let's see, what do we have here? You're getting the sorbitol, so that's the sweetness. You are getting right up on the top, you're getting the pear, which is perfect that you put pear on top of the cider on the label. And then as it softens into your mouth, you're getting the apples, so you're spot on. It's a delicious cider. It's very drinkable now, and this is one that I would put in my library and just see how it ages, because that would be cool, which is my recommendation. If you like a cider, in a bottle, let it sit and see a year from now and see if your ratio is working correctly as you move on.
Okay, that's a great tip.
Because, certainly at any stage, but when you're starting off, this is a time to start creating your library, because it will be such a learning for you, and you might find out, no, it's too late, don't let it go to that time, and you could be speaking from that experience to your audience. Yeah. So I'm thinking a little bit of, I brought some Willoughby cheese that I'm going to bring out tonight from Jasper Hill. I bet that would be good with this, but I could be wrong. Maybe it'd be just good with a cheddar.
Oh, I could see cheddar. Sure.
Cheddar might be just a straight up cheddar, not extra sharp or anything. We'd be really fine with it. That's what I'm thinking. This is a drink that I is asking to be accompanied with food. Pair the pear, right. I think it helps people kind of drop into it. And we always kind of do a disservice if we're not having some cheese with it. So just so you know, I'm bringing cheese and some bread.
We sell Myers cheese in the farm stands.
Oh, okay. I don't know what Myers is.
Myers is a small dairy in northern Franklin County. He has about 150 cows. They're A2 cows. Oh. And he makes one of the best sharp cheddars around. He makes yogurt and regular cheddar. He's got some provolone and a lot of different stuff. And he's from Switzerland, so he is perfect for that.
I'm ready to move to upstate New York.
We have a pretty good resource.
You got a nice scene going on. I like the pace. I like the amount of traffic.
Yeah.
I like...
traffic jam in Canton Village is a car at each corner.
I lived in New York City and I lived in Chicago, so, I moved here from Chicago, so...
Wow, that was a big
very,
change.
Very, very different.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah, very good. Well done. Pear cider, and that was 6.5%. Let me see what you have on the side of the labels. I'm almost looking for the latitude and longitude, The fact that you guys are so far up, you're upstate New York. You're not just New York.
North of upstate.
So the Canton Apples logo says north of upstate.
North of upstate. Oh, okay. Thank you for pointing that out.
Living in New York City, though, Yonkers is upstate to some people. You know what I mean? Riverside. It's
people never leave Manhattan.
Right. Yeah.
So my nephew actually helped us come up with that because he lives in New York City.
He had the...
And he's like, you're not upstate. You're north of upstate.
Great. I'll be honest, being a New York native, or not native, but being, living here for a while in New York City, and, I had been to Syracuse, I had been to Albany, I had been to Watertown, I had been to Rochester, I'd been to some of these places that I think are really, really far upstate. But I didn't really realize that we had this area, right, that is below the St. Lawrence River, above the Adirondacks, is on that, downward slope from the Adirondacks towards the St. Lawrence River.
Nobody knew there was anything past the Adirondacks.
Right.
Yeah.
It
truly.
It is, and there's no highways.
No.
There's no rail.
No interstate.
No interstate. There's no major airports.
There's
no
a lot
cities.
of train tracks. I keep on going over train
all
tracks. I'm
freight.
like, are they
It's all freight.
So
Well,
this
you
was
know,
a mining community.
But, I mean,
mining was big in this area.
big, but most of them aren't being
But it was
used.
all, it
Wow.
was passenger rail. So we did have New York Central Railroad come through here. So there was train traffic at some point because all these little towns have train stations. Yeah.
My wife grew up in Lisbon, which is the next town over, and she always talked about her grandmother and grandfather taking the train to Watertown to do their Christmas shopping. They would get on the train
That
in
is
DeKalb
neat.
Junction
Right.
and drive and ride the train to Watertown. That has not been the case for. I've lived here for 23 years, and that was.
Well, you're going to be making this territory pretty popular with the product that you're making right now. So watch out what you ask for,
Better put in some highways and
Some highways. Tell everybody,
There's going to
use
be
your
a subway from New York City.
How about this? How about we go to you? We'll come to you.
Okay, all right. Oh, well, okay. I get it. I
We
get
have a
it.
trailer. We can get it there.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with people coming because the rest of the economy could use that kind of tourism dollar is a great way to enrich an economy over some of the other options that come up like mining. Tourism dollars is great. Whole countries run on tourism dollars. And what a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
So we're drinking the farmhouse dry. You poured it and the nose has a bit of that barnyard hay smell. Right as you're sipping it, you're getting a bit of that in the palate, and then when it goes in, it smooths out.
I concur. I'm getting if I had to think about this in thirds, I'm not getting the middle. I'm not getting the middle third.
Not getting middle third.
I'm getting the front and the back, and not a lot of middle. Yeah, I'm not getting the roundness, I guess, if I had to.
It's going straight back, yeah. And it's not dropping off in the end, but it's a really tasty cider, and this would be great with a blue cheese. Something more robust that has some heaviness to it. A good strong cheese to kind of munch down on. Maybe some pickles. Yeah.
Oh, dilly beans with this.
Yeah. Oh, I like it. I'm actually bringing some bread and butter pickles tonight.
Oh, nice.
I just got it there. But I thought, we'll have a little acid kind of
Yeah.
quench in. So it'd be great to get some of that Myers cheese.
Yeah.
You could do a little taste.
I want to save all the questions about your road trip for tonight when we're all there because I know you're going to get them again. if
Oh,
you're not,
okay.
but,
This road trip?
yeah.
Oh,
But where were you last night? Where were you?
I was on the reservation. I stayed on the
Oh,
reservation.
very cool.
Yeah. Have you been in the reservation other than the casino?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the casino, but I've driven through a number of times. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a customer from the reservation. She comes and her group does cooking and other things for the elderly on the reservation, and she bought 200 pounds of blueberries from us. Maybe
Wow.
all the frozen
We had
blueberries are
a
gone.
lot of blueberries last year.
Yeah. So this is cider Dan. We have a blueberry Dan and we have a cheese Dan. So we got to keep them all separated here.
Of course you do.
But Blueberry Dan and his group, part of Canton Apples, that's another stacked enterprise, picked 3,000 pounds of blueberries last year.
Whoa. Is that the kind where you scoop it through with the rake?
All handpicked.
All
High bush blueberries.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
He is
Low
a
bush,
blueberry monster.
This is opening up more in the glass, so the barnyard is dissipating. You're definitely getting that honey note, creamy. Probably went through malolactic fermentation.
A little bit.
Yep. So yeah, that's very tasty. It doesn't stand out on its own in terms of the fact that I've tasted a lot of ciders like that. So, and I'm always happy when I do. That would be a cider that I would go towards because it has that kind of complexity. I like that barnyard. It makes me feel cozy. Yeah.
Do you get it almost like a grilled steak at the end of the flavor?
Yeah, that's a great
Right?
qualifier. I like
kind
that.
of get I don't know. When you breathe out after you taste it, and you can feel that.
Almost
Like
like
a
an
Florent-
umami.
Yeah, a little Florentine steak, high with olive oil and salt and
Yeah,
yeah.
because that's
Oh.
what I'm getting on my breath.
God,
out.
it makes me hungry for a little Florentine steak and mashed potatoes
Oh
and
boy!
a
Better
little
get a steak
mozzarella
for
and
tonight,
tomato.
man.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah, bring out the grill. That's fun. I like it. Really nice job, you guys.
Thank you.
It's fun.
Yeah, you're doing it really well, and the excitement's there, and to have the complexity from one end of the spectrum to the other, coming right out of the gate, you got it going on, and the fact that you are so patient really speaks volumes. So I want to just thank you both for being on Cider Chat, taking the time, sharing your offerings, going out and buying back your product just so we can taste it here. It's just like commitment and then some. So bravo.
Yeah, we started small. We didn't have a lot last year, so we have a lot more this year, and we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
If by the end of this episode you thought, geez, I recognize Dan's voice, that might be because he was on episode 407 of Cider Chat talking about how he takes notes for his cider making. And that is titled Cider Log Tutorial. And he basically mapped out from start to finish how to take the notes for making cider. You can also check out what is called 33 Books, and that is based in Portland, Oregon. It's owned by Dave Selden, and he has an amazing assortment of logbooks ready to go, nicely formatted, small little pocket-sized books you could put in your back jean pocket if you needed to. And he is a good resource also for that type of info for doing cider note-taking. But anyways, if you recognize Dan, yes, he's been on the podcast before. And I have a big tip of the glass to the following commercial cider brands who have been big supporters of this podcast via the Cider Going Up campaign at the Cider Chat Patreon page. We have Ross on Wye Cider and Perry Company based in Ross on Wye, Duck Chicken Cider based in South London. We also have Esoterra Cider Works, now based in Durango, Colorado, and Bent Ladder Cider and Wine based in Doylestown, Ohio. Press Then Press is an online cider shop, and the American Cider Association is an organization of cider and perry producers in the United States, and also Oliver Cider and Perry Company based in Oaklepitcher in the West Country of England, and Locust Grove Cider and Brewery in New York, that is based in the west side of the Hudson River in the town of Milton. They do have a tasting room. And Heeman Cellar, based in London, Ontario. Not too far from Potsdam, I would think. Maybe a little swing over to the west in Canada, but definitely worth the drive. Only 2.5 hours from Buffalo, New York, and Detroit, Michigan. Lovely people there, both Susan and Tom. All right, if you gain value from this podcast too, do become a patron today. Check it out by searching for Cider Chat and Patreon. It's spelled Patreon. And with that, I leave you here. This is Rio Windcaller signing off for now. Looking forward to seeing you in Ciderville.
Strange apples, bitter sharp. Strange apples, juicy ripe. Bop, 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 ba-da-doo-dee-da, bop, 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 ba-da-doo-dee-da. Who wants a tannenbaum?
I want a tannenbaum.
Who wants to pull them down?
I'm gonna pull them down. Hey, 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 apples,
bittersweet. Strange apples, hanging high. Got them strange apples. Forget the pie. Strange apples, squeeze them tight. Got them strange apples. Strange apples. Strange apples. Make them pop. Pop, 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 ba-da-doo-dee-da.
wants a tannenbaum?
I want a tannenbaum.
Who wants to pull them down?
I'm gonna pull them down. Hey, 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 apples.
Come and see plenty strange apples for you and me. Strange apples. Strange apples. Strange apples.
Make them pop. Pop, pop, pop.
Ba-da-doo-doo-da, pop, pop, pop. Ba-da-doo-doo-da, pop, pop, pop. Ba-da-doo-doo-da, pop, pop, pop.
Pop, 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 pop.
Yeehaw!